During his presidential campaign, Donald Trump was the only reasonable Republican when it comes to the issue of transgender rights, because in response to a question he received about an anti-transgender bathroom bill that North Carolina codified into law, he stated this. He said, North Carolina did something that was very strong and they're paying a big price. There's a lot of problems. Leave it the way it is. North Carolina, what they're going through with all the business that's leaving, all the strife, and this is on both sides. Leave it the way it is. There have been very few complaints the way it is. People go, they use the bathroom that they feel is appropriate. There has been so little trouble. So what he was saying there, to kind of decode caveman speak, is that, look, North Carolina is trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist, and as a result, they are catalyzing this huge wave of backlash from businesses that are pulling out of the state because they don't like that they are creating anti-transgender bathroom bills that are discriminatory. So he actually received backlash from his Republican colleagues. Ted Cruz called him out for this, and I defended Donald Trump from attacks that Ted Cruz was trying to wage against him for daring to be reasonable. Now, the problem is that even though Donald Trump said that during the campaign, well, currently, as president, he did a complete 180. So Reuters explains that Obama had instructed public schools last May to let transgender students use the bathrooms matching their chosen gender identity, threatening to withhold funding for schools that did not comply. Transgender people hailed the step as victory for their civil rights. Trump, a Republican who took office last month, rescinded those guidelines even though they had been put on hold by a federal judge, arguing that states and public schools should have the authority to make their own decisions without federal interference. About 200 people gathered in front of the White House to protest against Trump's action, waving rainbow flags and chanting, "No hate, no fear, trans students are welcome here." So let me reiterate what's happening here. A portion of the population that is the most vulnerable, transgender students, who are at a much higher risk than their cisgender and heterosexual peers for suicide, he is saying that the federal government should not be protecting these individuals. He's saying that states like Texas, who want to discriminate against these students and open the door to marginalization and bullying, well, they should be allowed to do that. If the federal government isn't going to protect people who are the most vulnerable, then what good is the federal government? I think that students of all people should be protected. Transgender students, they just want to use the bathroom as the gender that they identify as, but yet we have some states, some red states, where transgender students are literally getting bladder infections because they have to hold because they're too afraid to use the bathroom because, you know, if they use the bathroom of the gender that they identify as, somebody might think, oh, well, this is a pervert who's trying to creep on me. This is a boy who is wearing women's clothing and he wants to sexually assault me. So that's one aspect of it. But I mean, if you're transgender and you go to the bathroom of your biological sex, well, then you're going to get picked on by the men in the bathroom. They're going to say, oh, well, you know, look at you. What are you doing in here? You're a sissy. So, I mean, you're just opening the door for discrimination either way. And it should be up to the transgender student as to which bathroom they have. And this is so frustrating that you would withdraw federal protection, even though it was debatable whether or not it would stand because it was going through the courts. What is the point of doing this? It's arbitrary. The federal government should protect people who are at risk to bullying, to suicide. I don't get it. I don't get what statement you're trying to make, but it's really sickening. And I think that Donald Trump should be ashamed of himself. And to all the Donald Trump cheerleaders who claim, they try to challenge me when I talk about how Donald Trump isn't actually a friend to the LGBT community. Now you guys can kindly shut the fuck up, because the fact that Donald Trump held up an LGBT flag means shit to me. It means shit. I think that you can talk the talk, that's fine, but you have to walk the walk. Donald Trump is not walking the walk. He is an asshole, and this proves it.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.